Let us prepare ourselves. If you just put your hand over your eyes, and I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today. And I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today. And then if you just put your hand over your heart, I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today. The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that you are a human being. You're a human being. You're not a human done. You're not a human gonna be. You are a human being right now. Right now. And that's a good thing, because when we recognize that we are in the present tense as a human being can only be, and that being is an action word, we get that we can reinvent ourselves at any given moment. We can redefine ourselves at any given moment. And some of us are doing just that. Some of us who are participating in this 40-day abundance program, we get that we are redefining ourselves as prosperity beings, and that we are redefining who our source is. It's not who we thought it was before we started this 40-day really concentration on our abundance, but we get now that it's not who we work for, but it's something entirely different. We get that because we are a human being, and we can. We get that we are a human being who is interested in self-esteem. Many of us are reinventing ourselves because we are committed to better self-esteem. And women in the church, we're particularly committed to that. And we're signing up for Anita Ross's workshop because she is guaranteeing that women will come out of that with better self-esteem. We get that. Some of us are in earlier retirement. Some of us have retired in the church in their 50s and in their early 60s, and they're saying, what's next for me? I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to redefine myself in this new time in my life. We get to do that because we're human beings. Well, we're in a little series because, it takes action. It's simply, we can't sit around and wish it to happen. We need to take action on these concepts. And we've been studying, we borrow from all kinds of traditions. If you're visiting today, we get into everybody's business up here because we know it's our business too. Because there's one path, many paths, but one God. And so we're studying Buddhism right now, and we started out with the Four Noble Truths, and those you can find in the bookstore. But the basic notion of the Four Noble Truths is this: there's some suffering in this life, and you don't need Buddha or me to tell you that. We all know that. We know that we have suffering sometimes in our life. And the Buddha also says in the Four Noble Truths, there's a way out of suffering. And I can give you 8 spiritual practices that if you will internalize these spiritual practices and practice the practices, we can help you get out of any suffering at all in your life. And that's a pretty good promise. Well, last week we looked at the right view. And we talked about this word right. Right means successful in science of mind. It doesn't mean the opposite of wrong. It means successful. So we talked about successful view. We talked about successful intention. And we started talking about successful speech. And I want to pick it up here again and talk a little bit more about what successful speech, what we can learn from that. And basically what we teach here is tell the truth and tell it quickly and tell it compassionately. Tell the truth and tell it quickly and tell it compassionately. And that is successful speech in our mind. Now, we can get a big assist to ourselves in why we don't do this if we would be honest about why we don't do it. See, a lot of times we don't tell the truth and tell it quickly because we say to ourselves, we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. But that's not really what's happening. What's really happening is we don't want to feel the discomfort of making somebody else have hurt feelings. So we keep it to ourselves. That's not right speech. It's not successful speech. See, when we can allow ourselves to feel the discomfort, stop saying things like I'm walking around on pins and needles, when we can stop saying things like I don't want to rock the boat in my office by telling the truth and telling it quickly and telling it compassionately. When we can stop doing that, we can get closer to the kind of life that we want to live in our life. We all do it. You know, we all say things like, oh, yeah, I want to go to that film. And you're thinking, oh, my God, I don't want to go see that movie. I don't. Now, every once in a while, it's fine to go to a movie you don't want to see, but you need to say to the person who's asked you, you know, I really don't want to see that movie, but I like you enough. I want to go with you to see the movie. But instead, movie after movie after movie after movie after movie, we're going, and we forget. And pretty soon we think, oh, I hope that phone doesn't ring. I hope my friend doesn't call me to go to the movies anymore. Or food that you eat. You know, we're in relationships and somebody cooks us. Dawn is not here right now, so I don't want you to think I'm talking about my own life. So don't go in there on Hot Dog Sunday and tell her after she's been cooking all day. But sometimes you don't want that dinner in that dish. But you're afraid to say it. And so you eat it, and time after time. Pretty soon the resentment comes up. You know, I once made somebody believe that I was a happy bridge player for months. I hate bridge. I don't even understand bridge very well. And what happens is I just didn't want to see that person because I didn't want to be invited to any more bridge games in my life. So what we want to do, you know, honestly, though, seriously, the thing that breaks my heart when couples come into my office and I hear them say things like, we just grew apart. We just grew apart. And I know immediately what happened. They grew apart because they stopped telling the truth, telling it quickly to each other. They stopped being honest with each other. And so they started being in parallel lines until it was too late to get it back together again. So use the wisdom of great Lord Buddha, who says, practice right speech, practice successful speech, and tell the truth, and tell it quickly.
Georgia, when you mentioned the thing about telling it quickly, is that mean you mean just don't delay?
Right. Oh, I don't mean speak quickly, not speak fast. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, don't delay.
Right. Tell it quickly. Right. Yeah. So that'll be the last question I'll take here, though, today. But feel free to email me about anything, as I know you already do. Okay. So the second one is right action or successful action. See, and this gets tricky because successful action the most successful action is sometimes inaction. Sometimes it's inaction. The great Taoists teach us this. They say that before you proceed into action, stop. Have a period of inaction in which you begin to contemplate what it is that you need to do in your life. Ask yourself, what is my next step to do in my life? Because, in order to reinvent ourselves, sometimes we have to add things, and sometimes we have to subtract things, and you can't do that until you're fully conscious of what that is, and you've developed a little plan to do it. So sometimes the greatest and most successful action is inaction. And then, when we begin to get that time, because I was thinking about this on 4th of July, we have such independent spirits, and what we really need to do is to take that spirit of independence and reframe it into co-creation energy so that we're co-creating with the Divine One. That's the kind of energy we want to have in right action. And then once we've done that, once we've been able to sit and listen to our highest voice, not a God in the sky, but sit and listen to our highest voice. And that highest voice will not bring with it caution. It will not bring with it that kind of unhealthy caution, that kind of drama. We all have drama queens inside of us. And so sometimes the point of non-action is to calm the drama queens down, both inside of us and also around us, because sometimes we draw those kind of people to us. And sometimes we have that thing that I call non-specific impending doom. Have you ever had that non-specific impending doom? I get that sometimes. And if we're careful with it, and if we're not careful with it, we run off with it. But if we are willing to have a period of inaction, of contemplation, of stillness before we act, then after that period of contemplation, Buddha says right action means get out and do it. Like the Nike people say, just go and do it. See, so often we hold back from that which we are being called to do because we are afraid we will fail. Risk-taking is the best spiritual practice most of us in this room can develop. Risk-taking is the best spiritual practice most of us in this room can develop. Amen. Thank you. I was going to say it again, but thank you, Brenda. Please. I know you're out there. I know you are. I see you. I just don't hear you. All right. So I want everybody to say, I love taking risks. Say it again. I love taking risks. I really love taking risks. See, that's a powerful, powerful thing. If we can begin to take risks in our lives. Here's what the great Peter Drucker says: the better the man is, the more mistakes he will make. For more new things he will try, says management consultant Peter Drucker. I would never promote into a top-level job a man who is not making mistakes. Otherwise, he is sure to be mediocre. A now famous story at IBM involved founder Thomas Watson and one of his vice presidents who took the initiative on the development of a new product. As reported in Fortune magazine, the product was a risky venture that ended up a colossal failure and cost the company $10 million. Watson called the executive into his office, saying there was something he wanted to discuss with him. Sure he was about to lose his job. The young man blurted out, "I guess you want my resignation." Watson replied, "You must be kidding. We've just spent $10 million educating you." Anyone making a multi-million-dollar mistake had to learn something that would help him do a better job the next time. See, yeah, making mistakes are powerful, powerful right action for us because it means that we're getting out there and that we're doing things. Drucker, Lord Buddha says also that everything we do, we give it our full 100%. See, a lot of us are sliding. There's some short-timer attitude going on with us in various aspects of our life. And I know I get that way too. No more short-timer attitude. We've got to fully get in and play. And by that I mean fully get in and give it everything we have. Martin Luther King says, we don't work for anybody else but God. We don't work for anybody else but God. And we don't play for anybody else but God. And we don't learn for anybody else but God. That presence of God that is inside of us that is growing all of the time. So we need right action calls us to do our best, give everything our best. The next one is right conduct or successful conduct. Now, I'm not talking about external moral values here. I'm asking you this week, in celebration of Lord Buddha, to sit at your kitchen table one night, early in the week, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night, and write down 5 of your values. 5 values that you have, whether it's safety or whether it's compassion or whether it's love or whether it's adventure or what it is. Figure out 5 values, internal values, nothing to do with outside. Because this is not about morality. This is not about what everybody else says are good values. You know, values in terms of society are changing all of the time. I think about gay people. You know, gay people didn't worry about what was going on the outside. Well, we were thoughtful about it, but we weren't worried about it to the point where it stopped us from having loving marriages. The state of California had to catch up with their values to the values that were already going on. You see how this works? Values are an internal way of living. And so if you will write down those 5 values, and if you will then take them out every single night and evaluate, how did I do with my 5 values today? If my value was generosity, how did I do with that today? If my value was safety, how did I do with that today? If my value was oneness, how did I do that today? And then on those areas where we came up short, it's simply a prayer away. It's simply a prayer away, a spiritual mind treatment away in order for us to up-level our right conduct. The next one is right livelihood. And if you were to study Buddhism, they mostly focus on what it is that you are doing with your time in terms of, is it for the good of all? So in other words, they would say if you worked in a bomb factory or if you worked in a clear cutting the woods, that would not be right livelihood because it's harmful to all sentient beings. And that's certainly something for all of us to evaluate for ourselves. Not allowing somebody else to evaluate that for you. You evaluate that for yourself. And you decide if where you're working is right livelihood within that light. But far more important to all of us in this room is for us to look at right livelihood in terms of what it's doing to our soul. Do you hate going to your job every single Monday morning? Don't become one of those American statistics. The majority of heart attacks happen at 9 o'clock on Monday mornings. Why? Because people are not engaged in right livelihood. Now look, I'm not saying go out and quit your job because you hate your job. But I am saying make this the very day that you start looking. The most successful applicants for new jobs are people who already have jobs. They already have them. So don't go out and quit your job, but don't make that be an excuse. Oh, well, the benefits are really good. I hope my soul hangs on with me because I've only got 8 more years of this nuttiness, and then I'll be able to retire or move on. No. You work for God. God is your source. Now, don't be foolish. Get a job before you leave the job, but don't use that as an excuse to not move on and get a new job. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness. We've all heard this. We hear it a lot, and it's a powerful, powerful spiritual practice. And all it means is this: stay present in your mind. And I can tell you 1,000,000 times a day when I am walking around, and sometimes I'm even talking, and sometimes I'm even up here giving you the 4 foundational beliefs, and something will catch my eye, and I hope to God I'm telling you something right because I'm not there. I'm not home. It happens to all of us. Our job is to stay mindful, to stay present, to stay in what Buddha would call our right mind. And our right mind is the mind, our highest mind. It's the mind that's connected up with the divine mind, which is available to us all of the time. Right concentration. Right concentration. Right concentration is different than right mind, because in right mind, what we're doing is we're trying to stay in the right mind so that if somebody comes up and hurts our feelings, we're in our right mind, which says, oh, that's a call for love, instead of whatever else we might be saying at that time. See? Right concentration is that we set aside a little bit of time every day. We set aside a little bit of time every day. Now, some people call this meditation. I'm very careful not to call it meditation because I think meditation has the same response to some people as the word God. And that is, whoa, not me. My mind is way too busy. I can't meditate. I once said that, and a teacher of mine says, "Do you ever go to a movie?" I said, yeah. Do you sit through the whole movie? I said, yeah. Do you sit still in the whole movie? Well, sure. Well, then you can sit still, okay? You can concentrate on something. Yeah, oh, wow, right. That's what I said to him. Oh, as I slunk out of the room, I said, oh, wow. So what we ask you to do is to be quiet for a moment in a place that feels safe to you, in a place in which you won't be disturbed, in a place in which you don't have a lot of external noise going all about you, and to pay attention to how you're breathing. That's it. That is it. Sit quietly and pay attention to your breath. Now, Peggy has a fabulous meditation tape CD in the bookstore, and that assists people in getting started in this journey. But if you've already taken foundations, watch for spiritual mind treatment and meditation as a class. Or do we have a class just meditation now, I think, that is just meditation? Don't be afraid of meditation. See, we think that if we're going to meditate, somebody's going to control us. Nobody's going to control you. You learn the technique, you do it, and you have a fabulous day, or you don't do it. Nobody's going to know. So give right concentration an opportunity. And you might try coming Wednesday nights for some additional right concentration that we have here at 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. Peggy leads a meditation. So I want to wind this up. One Buddhist recently, that I read recently, said that Buddhism is profound common sense. That's what Buddhism is, profound common sense. And the truth is, Christianity is profound common sense. Islam is profound common sense. Earth-based traditions are profound common sense. Hinduism is profound common sense. We make God so hard. We make it so difficult to get in touch with our own soul and our own spirit, and it's so easy. Let's take this message into prayer, knowing that there is one power, one glory. It's the power and the glory of the Most High, and it's in me right now. I just have to connect. I simply have to notice that it's there. That's it. Not very hard. Just notice. And when I notice that the world is ordered correctly, that all is right, that I am safe, that I am loved, as is each person in this room, just because I noticed. I give thanks for this. I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.